market experts to market watchers to ivala mato join avbothunnaru Raja Venkatraman from Neo Trader. Raja, thank you so much for talking to us and for joining us today on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
Raja, interesting day for the markets. Mostly, I think fundamentals wise, if we look at it, macros are dominating the sentiment.
Yeah,
If we
you're
look at the if we look at the technicals, Nifty below 19,300, Sensex below 65,000. What does that mean? Should investors start worrying now?
Yeah, so first of all, when you take a look at the kind of decline which has been coming in since the mid of July,
Hmm.
the decline is something which was expected. Now, the levels which you mentioned, the 19,300, 65,000, these are levels which everyone has been watching, and the kind of macro data points which everyone is considering, like the discussion on the oil front
Hmm.
between Iran and US, or be it the Fed meet which is happening. So a lot of events which are happening today, and I believe that a lot of shorts have got accumulated in anticipation, considering the nature of movement. So there are some trend followers who have actually done a premeditated selling position, and you will see that the selling carried forward right till the closing. So there was
Hmm.
a late session recovery,
Hmm.
but then the closing has been on the weaker side, and it has definitely unsettled the confidence of the bullish camp.
Right.
Now, the unsettlement of the confidence of the bullish camp will be reinstated in the next week. Now, what do I mean by reinstated? Either we will see a dip below the gap region, which was trying to hold out
Hmm.
this entire move, or a continuation. A continuation could take it towards 18,800. So that is
Right.
an anticipated move which has been undertaken. Now, having said that, still the markets are not going to slip into a negative territory. What I foresee, based on the time cycle studies which I'm doing, the next month is also going to be in a similar fashion. There are going to be pockets of positive intervals, and
Hmm.
one should continue to look at dip into some strongly trended stocks as an opportunity to buy. Yes, there
Hmm.
will be opportunity to sell, but then based on whatever studies which I have done, and based also on the kind of news flows which are coming into play, taking a
Hmm.
overnight short position would not be a best idea at this current juncture. Now, if you take a look at the other side, yes, I am speaking more for the bullish camp, but then if you talk about the bearish camp, yes, higher levels are continuing to remain a supply point, and
Hmm.
even if there is a decline, there could be some buying coming in at lower levels. So if you're going to go short on an intraday and look to cover your position by the end of the day. And options would be the best way to take a position at the current point in time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, Banking stocks have been very lackluster, especially Nifty Bank, because even when the rally was, playing out in the market in the last 6 7 weeks, banking was not participating much. What is your reading of Nifty Bank?
Yeah, Bank Nifty has largely been lackluster, and the
Hmm.
brief rally which we saw, Bank Nifty is definitely weaker of the lot, and that has been playing a drag on the indices.
Hmm.
And Nifty Bank continues to remain subdued, and the private banks. Now, when you go between after the indices, when you step one level lower, and you try to compare between the PSUs as well as versus the private, I find that the private banks have been a big drag on the entire banking basket for more than almost 2 years now. It's just that there is a myth which is there amongst the traders, that private banks are more privileged lot, and if you ask anyone, they would prefer to trade a private bank than a PSU bank. But
Hmm.
then the PSU banks have actually performed much better when you do a
Yeah.
relative strength comparison. So I feel that if Bank Nifty has to recover from lower levels, we would definitely would be tracking some active PSU banking stocks, and they would be either a Can Bank or a Bank of Baroda, or even SBI for that matter.
Hmm.
SBI will come lower down the order. So these are some prominent names, but one should not ignore the other smaller banks which have been doing well, and they will also tend to perform. So if you are looking to participate in the banking space, then PSU Bank would be a much better bet because it has got more room for upside.
Well, that's interesting because we get a lot of questions on PSU Bank, and you have answered it already for us and made it easy. What about other PSU stocks, especially defense? Of course, this week it was Chandrayaan 3, which was the flavor of the week, and we saw a very strong rally come by. But in terms of even valuations or stock price movement, there is a camp that says that they have entered an overvalue territory, and there is one part of the market which still sees more room, especially because of the fundamental factors and the visibility that they're getting in terms of defense spends. What is your reading of the technicals of these PSU stocks, especially defense and aerospace PSUs?
Yeah, so when you talk about the defense space, they have been on a fire over the last few months. It's not
Hmm.
Chandrayaan is just a recent development, but then
Yeah.
the kind of propagation towards the defense space which has been promoted by the Indian government, it has clearly given a good tailwind to the entire defense movement. Now, when you talk about the defense stocks, yes, HAL, BEL, or even Zentech. So, you can take a few more names. Now,
Hmm.
all these names are so every time the question is asked whether should we invest now. Now, what is my personal opinion is as long as this government is in play and as long as their agenda is very clear that defense is the big area to look into. Every dip into these names based on the capital which one is having at the moment should look to participate. There are some trading bets which are there in the FNO space like HAL, BEL, but then there are also others in the cash segment. So one can
Hmm.
consider even those names to buy into and should keep booking profits. My theory is very clear that markets cycle have reduced sharply. So if you are going to look at it and hold for a long term, then
Hmm.
you should split your fund and keep booking some profits in some and hold out in the rest in the others. So it's not going to be a multi bagger, but then definitely it'll earn
Hmm.
you some return in the coming months.
Okay, makes sense. What is your reading of Nifty Pharma? Pharma names, especially last 2 3 months, have seen very strong uptick. The index has also seen a very steady growth. Is Has it sort of peaked now, or do you think that right now with the ongoing bit of up and down that we're seeing in the market, it provides a good entry point into some of those stocks?
Yeah, so pharma definitely has seen a very sharp up move. It has outperformed since July, and the last 2 months have been quite good for the pharma space. And
Hmm.
what we need to consider is that the kind of movement, if you go into certain stocks like, say, Oro Pharma or Glenmark, you will see that these stocks or even Dr. Reddy, they have
Hmm.
seen a very sharp move in the last few months. So it is highly likely that there is going to be some profit booking. Now the question comes whether it is a good time to invest into pharma space. Looking at the kind of movement of the pharma index and the overall sector play itself, it looks like
Hmm.
pharma is showing signs of bottoming out, and all the popular names, be it even Lupin or Oro or all the names which I said, they would be in play, and they would provide a good defense play. And the defense play had actually gone out of the equation maybe 2 years ago. Now
Hmm.
it took a while for it to come back, but now I can see that it's again coming into play, and pharma would definitely be a good play to watch out for. And yes, the current reaction which you will witness in the pharma, it's a good time to re-enter.
Okay. One question I was just reading out from a viewer is this is from Raghav. He wants to know about NTPC and Power Grid and even ONGC. He's saying they've seen a strong rally in the last few months. Do you think any of these stocks look attractive at current levels as well?
So when you take a look at the power space is definitely very, very positive. And there has been some steady upward traction which has been seen in the power space. But then what one needs to consider is that what is your term? So everyone says long term, but then the most important thing is how are you defining your term? So if you're looking at it from the point of view of few days, then NTPC would not be a good bet. The reason being that NTPC or ONGC are all slow movers. They are not going to run away in a hurry. So if you're having the mindset to hold on to these stocks for the next few months, you will see the stock going at least a 30% jump from here on.
Okay, all right. I want to move on and talk about some individual stocks as well that have been, pretty much in the news, and we've seen a fair amount of stock reaction as well. Starting with Reliance Industries, a lot of news developments in the last couple of weeks. Of course, the big overhang was Geo Financial listing. Now that has happened. Of course, last Friday we saw a sharp selling on the counter, and then they allayed all those concerns and listed Geo Financial on Monday. So, of course, there's that Qatar entity investing a huge amount of $1 billion investment in Reliance Retail Ventures. Then you also have Reliance today saying that they've tied up with Oberoi Hotels for, the upkeep of two properties in India, one in the UK. So a lot of news developments happening. We sometimes see a stock reaction, sometimes we don't. But overall, net, if we see over the last 5, 6 months, it has been rather flat, rather sluggish. So, what do you think is in store for Reliance Industries?
See, Reliance will continue to perform in this fashion because the news flow has taken it towards its highs around 2500, and that's where it continues to face the challenge. It did cross 2500, but then there seems to be some hesitation after the debut of Geo Financial. But I continue to believe that this stock is showing some promise of further upside. So any reaction in this counter should be bought into, and those who are already having position in Reliance Industry should continue to hold on because it definitely shows further upside from here on. And the target
Hmm.
could be somewhere in the region of around 3000 to 3200 within the next 6 months.
Okay, right. I also want to talk about what's happening with L&T this week. Again, hit a record high level. Um, does it look good even despite scaling up to these highs?
Yeah, so at these highs, you will find that majority of the counters which you will discuss will witness some profit booking. So
Hmm.
profit booking is definitely understandable, and the dip should be used to buy into, and that is the most important reading which I would take from L&T. L&T could be you can wait in L&T because I believe that there could be a slight reaction to the way down. You can look at levels around say 2400 to buy into L&T.
Okay. Even FMCG stocks, they've had their good days and bad days, very, very inconsistent returns over the last few months. What do you think here? Are there any select names that one can look at? We're getting a question also from Pramod, and he wants to know if there is any of the stocks in FMCG basket that you like.
Yeah, when you're looking at the the rate of inflation and all those macro factors which
Hmm.
are impacting the consumption side of the story, we are finding that the stock will continue to remain suppressed. So majority of the stocks are like even ITC, which had a sharp decline, they will continue to have a very subdued impact. So the movement will be subdued. So FMCG would not be a good area to participate at the moment. Having said that, one should track this sector because this sector could again revive from lower levels, and that would be somewhere in the next few days where I expect a rebound in the FMCG space.
Okay. Raja, typically, what will be some important and crucial levels to watch in the next 1 2 weeks for benchmarks and for Nifty Bank?
Yeah, so first of all, if you are looking to consider Sensex, I would hold on to around 63,000. So as long as 63,000 holds, I would not worry so much. And one of the main reason is that the overall market has not turned bearish. It's just that
Hmm.
the sentiment has got a little punctured,
Hmm.
largely because of the global cues. Now, if I'm able to hold on to around 62,000, 62,300, I don't have to worry so much because
Hmm.
that's where the whole movement started. So now we are witnessing a reaction, and this reaction is definitely part of the overall move. So I would continue to hold on to that. And when I talk about Nifty, 19,300 was the first leg, which it has
Yeah.
clearly given up. Now I would look at 18,800 to be compromised to, put the bullish agenda behind the back. So as long as 18,800 is not folded, I would not really go bearish. Yes, I would take some bearish stance in few scenario. The levels where one should basically exit your holding and stay on the sidelines would be 18,800. If I'm a little bit more particular.
Okay. Are you being cautious here or optimistic? I mean, 18,800. Last week when we spoke to another analyst who also tracks the technicals, he said 19,000. Now you're saying 18,800. Our viewers might be worried that these targets keep going, getting a downward revision.
Yeah. Uh, Fortunately or unfortunately, in technical analysis, you have certain levels to track. And 19,000, yes, 19,300. So there are, I can keep giving levels, but then it will only
Hmm.
confuse the users. So 18,800 is an area where beyond which I would not look to hold on to any of my positions. That's why I'm mentioning that level. So now maybe
Okay.
next time when we meet up and you see a recovery from here, these levels will get updated and maybe we'll trade higher. But then yes, these are some levels to watch out for. So 19,000 also is an important zone. It's a round figure psychology, and 18,800 is a crucial technical support
Hmm.
zone.
I hope, Raja, when we interact next time, we're talking more about stock picking and what to, where to invest and all of that instead of talking about these bleak scenarios. But thank you so much for talking
Welcome.
to our viewers, addressing some of their queries as well, and sharing your reading of the market with us.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
థ్యాంక్ యూ గైస్ ఫర్ ట్యూనింగ్ ఇన్ నెక్స్ట్ ఫ్రైడే మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి మేము సాక్షి మనీ మంత్ర వీకెండ్ వచ్చి మీకు లైవ్ అప్డేట్స్ ఇస్తాం అండ్ వీక్లీ మార్కెట్ ఎలా ప్లే అవుట్ అయిందో దాని అనాలిసిస్ కూడా తెస్తాం అప్పటి వరకు సీ యూ అండ్ హ్యావ్ అ గ్రేట్ వీకెండ్ థ్యాంక్స్
Yeah. Thank you.